Ragin Cajuns softball is continuing to try to build out their 2027 roster. Let's discuss it here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Ragin Rundown, where it's all Cajuns all the time. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. And in today's episode, we will be talking about the latest transfer portal addition to the Ragin Cajun softball program, and then we will also check in on the football program with their latest addition to their 2027 classes. It's continuing to climb in the double digits. Let's lead off with softball, as Allison Habits and company have been extremely quiet during this offseason transfer portal section of their 2026 campaign as they are transitioning to 2027. They've been extremely quiet as they had only added just one player up until this point. But here on Monday, June the 29th, they add Angelyna Conde, who is a Texas Tech transfer. So she was a part of that team that were the runners-up in the national championship game of the Women's College World Series. But the contributions that she had to that team were not nearly as big because of, all the other players that they had ahead of her. She was a very young player coming in as a true freshman and just didn't get as much burn to be able to play. She comes in, and as of the new age-based model that the NCAA approved, she will have 4 years of eligibility remaining. You remember, you have 5 years in 5 seasons, 5 years to be able to play. She has burned one of them, so she would have 4 more years remaining. She is an infielder, like I mentioned. In her lone season with the Red Raiders, she recorded just 1 run. She drew a walk and 2 plate appearances in that one game, or she appeared in 3 games, recording 1 run, drawing a walk, 2 plate appearances during that freshman campaign. But what we can look at is in her high school career, she played in 109 career games. She collected 110 hits while batting .324. She totaled 20 doubles, 19 home runs, and 88 RBI, showcasing a little bit of consistency there at the plate and some slight power as well. Obviously, that continues to come along as you continue to get stronger in the weight room in your career. And like I mentioned, based on the new age eligibility model, she will have 4 years of eligibility remaining. So as it stands, the Cajuns have about 5 more roster spots available. They have 20 total players on their team, 2 of them being from the transfer portal, and I will read them off as follows. If you'd like to be able to write it down, go ahead and pull your pen and paper out so I can give you a moment to be able to get to that. As it stands, your pitchers are as follows. Sage Hoover leads you off as your most experienced pitcher out of the bullpen. After that, you have Bailey Mackles, Emily Adams as a true freshman. Michaela Ranicky is a utility player, but she also pitched, so I'm throwing her name there in the mix. And then South Carolina transfer pitcher KG Favors. So you have 5 total pitchers, 4 for sure, potentially 5 that are in the mix. After that, your infielders are as stands. You have 8 of those. Your returners are Mia Lascano, Brooke Otto, Madison Manning, Haley Hart, Emily Smith. Your freshmen are Ali Rios, Tori Gonzalez, and now Angelyna Conde as the transfer from Texas Tech. So that is 8 infielders. Your outfielders, you have 5 of those. Deja Williams is a returner, Mia Norwood, Lily Knox, and Kennedy Stutz. And then freshman Haley Johnson is rounding that group out. And then you have 2 catchers, Kennedy Marceau, who we've talked about multiple times on the show, and Zoe Harrington, the North Vermilion product, is coming in as a true freshman. So you have 20 total players, 2 catchers, 5 outfielders, 4 for sure pitchers, potentially 5, and then 8 infielders to round you out at 20. So I know, right now it's extremely quiet, and people are probably saying, what is it that Coach Habits is working on? I have not spoken with her at a great length to kind of understand what their philosophy is, but very similar to how I'm looking at how Coach Deggs and company attacked the portal. I'm now looking and just assuming, based on what I'm seeing and the way that they're doing, is that instead of going and trying to spend a bunch of money to get the big splash player out of the portal, they are taking their time. They're evaluating young players that they believe can help them in the long run, and they are going the long route with things, the developmental piece, right? KG Favors only played one season at South Carolina, so she's going to have 4 years of eligibility remaining. And now Angelyna Conde comes in and has 4 years of eligibility remaining as well. So you have two young players that you're bringing in that were a part of big time programs. UL, obviously, the standard of this program is to be big time, but in these past couple of years, that has not happened, right? Texas Tech played in the national championship back to back seasons. South Carolina is a program that plays in the SEC, and getting those type of players that have been around, big time softball and elite players, that is going to help them. And some of that can be able to rub off and help you build to what you ultimately want to be. So I know it's a word that many Cajun fans are not going to want to hear, but patience is probably going to be the thing that's going to be needed in some instances, right? The pressure is on, I'm sure. This coaching staff understands that these past 2 seasons, you haven't broke 30 wins, and you've been bounced out of the Sun Belt Conference tournament. This past season, of course, happening in your own backyard, and you did it against your biggest in-state rival in ULM, which hurts. So the word patience is not going to be something that people are going to want to hear, and I totally understand that. But you're going to have young players that are going to be coming in, and you're going to have to do an amazing job as a coaching staff. Bill Shipman, Cal Brady, Lacey Prejean, and Allison Habits. It's going to be on them to take these players and mold them into the stars that they believe they can be, so that this team can overall be a success story. We talked about it before, the cornerstone pieces that they believe that they're going to be building this program around: Mia Lascano, Brooke Otto, Kennedy Marceau, and obviously Haley Money Hard, the returning Sunbelt Freshman of the Year, are your cornerstone pieces. Those are the players that Coach Habits named after they lost to ULM in the Sunbelt Conference tournament. You add on top of that, Sage Hoover is going to have to be your ace. She has no choice, but she obviously would do that because she was your most consistent pitcher. But in this case, she has no choice but to be, because she's the oldest and the most experienced. After her, Bailey Mackles has, I think, 6 games of experience at the collegiate level. And then the rest of them, KG Favors has a handful of games of experience, and then 2 incoming freshmen. So she's going to be leaned on heavily to rally the troops. After that, you're going to need a lot from your positional players, right? Your Mia Lascanos, your Brooke Ottos, your Madison Mannings are going to have to step up. Emily Smith entering her junior season after having a great freshman campaign, taking a small step back in her sophomore campaign. She's going to have to come up big in her junior year. We know what Haley Hart is going to bring to the table. She's going to have to be able to continue that. Deja Williams out of the outfield, being a table setter and the speed that she has on the base paths. They're going to need a lot out of her. Mia Norwood, the power that she's brought to her bat. Lily Knox continuing to build consistency herself, those outfielders. And then obviously what Kennedy Marceau has been able to do behind the dish. I've heard potentially words on the street. This is nothing to report, but this is just things that I've heard, that Kennedy Marceau, there could be a potential that maybe she moves as an outfielder or in a different position, and Zoe Harrington, assumes the role behind the dish. I don't know. But either way, you're going to need a lot from your skilled players to step up, because this team is going to be extremely young, and it may take a minute for things to kick into gear for them to eventually get to where they want to be. So that is how things stand. You've now up to 20 total players, as I mentioned, and 2 more players coming through the transfer portal. So things are looking to start shaping up even more so. There are 5 more roster spots because you can get average to 25. So there will be more names for certain coming through the Ragin Cajuns softball program. Softball is making headlines now, and also football has quietly been putting together a solid 2027 recruiting class. We're going to get into that when we come back here on Ragin Rundown. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Ragin Rundown. We're going to get back into the action in just a second. But before we do, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Please do me a favor. Please like the video, share it, and leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. So before we went to break, like I told you, softball has added through the transfer portal. But now switching gears to the gridiron, the Ragin Cajuns are now up to 14 total commits as they have just added they earned a commitment, I believe it was last Friday, from Elkins outside linebacker, and I'm going to take my time trying to pronounce his name. It is Omosefe Ayemere. He is an outside linebacker from Elkins High School, which is in Missouri City, Texas. He is 6'2". He is 205 pounds, and he had offers from the likes of UTSA, Air Force, Navy, Delaware State, UL, and it says that he has 6 in total. I'm trying to see what the 6th one is, and Lamar. So you win once again a head-to-head recruiting battle. You go and you identify a player that you wanted, and you add him to the class. As I'm looking at his highlight tape on his Twitter account, if you want to go and follow him, obviously you can go and check him out there. He is a hard-hitting athlete. I wasn't able to find any stats on him from his junior season, but he's a hard-hitting athlete. He can drop into coverage, and based on the Cajuns' defense, he would probably assume that role of a jack position. We've seen what those players can be, where they can put their hand in the dirt, but if need be, they can drop into coverage and go back and be able to pick off quarterbacks when they're, throwing those slant routes and those curl routes and all of those different things like that. He has that ability from what I'm seeing, listed as an outside linebacker, and has a great skill set in front of him. So now, like I said, your class is now up to 14 total players. They are as follows: Shadow Creek tight end Bryce Coleman, Avoyles defensive lineman Kobe Smith, Faraday wide receiver Rob Taylor, Westbrook quarterback Tam Anderson, Angleton offensive lineman Noah Ernst, Plaquemine wide receiver John Walker, University Lab defensive lineman Mason Smith, St. Thomas More safety, who will play linebacker once he gets to UL, Landon Orty, Summer Creek DB Caleb White, Archbishop Rummel, defensive back Gavin Cooper, Wiley athlete Jabraven Blake, Eastview offensive lineman Adarius Hines, Crawford linebacker Cameron Alakija, and now Elkins outside linebacker Omosefe Ayemere. So you have built up a very even type of class. We've talked about it multiple times on this episode, what Coach Des is trying to build. There are going to be more and more players that they will work through to try to get. Obviously, there are guys that they brought in through, recruiting visits, during official visits. Right now, it's obviously a dead period, so they cannot bring any more players or have contact with them at this point. So it was important to get the guys in that you wanted and identify as much as you could during that month of June. Now, as we're getting to transition through the month of July, it's now going to be about, okay, let's get this 2026 football team ready to play and get in action. Let's roll through this season. And then as we're going through the season, continuing to cultivate the relationships that you have with your 14 commits and continue to work to build out the 2027 class as you are building toward the future. Things are getting just days and days closer as we are now 68 days away from the Cajuns opening the 2026 season against the Lamar Cardinals at Our Lady of Lourdes Stadium on September 5th with a 7 p.m. kickoff. And it's going to be, an interesting season to see how things will shake up for this team, because the past couple of years it has been 6 and 7 outcomes. But as we talked about on this show before, there is a ton of talent that they have that they will be building around and that they will be working to try to create something special in this season. Some of the main players that we've talked about before, we know at quarterback, Lunch Winfield, this offense will go as he goes. The running back room is extremely young, but we've seen players like Darrell Smith and J.J. Gardner pop off really big plays during the spring game. You're going to add in Keyron Smith as a true freshman now, so your running back room is going to be young, but they have a lot of explosive playmaking abilities. Shelton Sampson is your one receiver, but then you have other guys around him like Raji Dennis, Lennon Strother that are going to be able to make plays, and then you have a host of others that are waiting for their opportunity to be able to stand out as well. Caden Jensen is such an emotional leader and a huge part of your offense, not just in the passing game, but in the run game as well, because as we know, UL likes to run the football first, and they set up the pass through the run game, and they use the tight end quite a bit. So he is going to be huge for you. And then defensively, um, your things start and end, I believe, at the cornerback position with Brent Gordon Jr. College Football 27 is set to come out, I think, in maybe another week or so. I'm not mistaken on what the release date is. He is the highest rated player out of all Sunbelt players on the game, which that doesn't mean a lot in real life, but it just goes to show you how universally he is respected as a young player, even though he is entering his sophomore campaign. Um, you're young in the linebacker room, but you have players in there that are going to be able to step up and make plays. Caleb Edwards, Micah Johnson, Jake St. Andre. So the list goes on with that. Your DB room at the safety position, like Colin Jacob and Cody Jackson, are going to be spearheading things. And then on the defensive line, you're going to be anchored by Fitzgerald West, Maxie Bodwin, your transfers in Tito Chikure, Broderick Stewart, Princeton Malbrook coming in as the jack position, and he was utilized a lot at the Mike and Will and Sam positions as well, the inside linebacker position. So he's going to be an interesting piece for you as well. So we'll see how this team shapes to be as we get closer to the season, but that's how things are looking for the 2027 class and overall as we are getting closer to the 2026 campaign for the Ragin Cajuns football program. So that is how things are shaping up. Softball as transfer, Angelyna Conde, and football gets a commitment from Omosefe Ayemere, an outside linebacker from Elkins. So that is going to wrap up this episode of Ragin Rundown. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. Please do me a favor, like it, share it, and leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.